Before you say anything, I know I'm late to the party. I finally got a PS4 a couple months ago, and Ghost of Tsushima was one of the first games I bought. And oh my god, it totally lives up to the hype. The graphics, the gameplay, the characters, the story? Mwah, chef's kiss. Very good. You don't need me to tell you how freaking good this game is. You probably already know. Thinking about it makes me want to replay it all over again. But this isn't a review, it's a question, and it's something I really started to think of when I knew that I was getting towards the end of the game. How does class affect or change the morality of the characters? Would their morals or role in the story be different under different circumstances? And does Sucker Punch believe that each character is good or bad just because of the nature of the individual? I want to answer this because I don't feel like this game asks it enough, but I do feel the distinction of classes proposed or implied several times. Before I ramble on any longer, let's just get started. Ghost of Tsushima is a historical fiction action-adventure game developed by Sucker Punch Productions. Although not entirely historically accurate, the game is set during the Yuan invasion in 1274. But the bare-bones basis is that Khotun Khan is invading Tsushima and you must liberate it. There is a lot to cover, most of which I'll go over during the individual character analysis, so I'll try and keep it as brief as possible here. Sakai Jin, a survivor from the initial battle at Komata Beach, and our main character, navigates the island of Tsushima top-down in order to rescue his uncle, Lord Shimura, from the Khan, and regain control of Castle Kaneda. After recruiting new allies and regaining their small army, they are successful. With their newfound confidence, Shimura, Jin, and our new allies move north, following the Khan. They work alongside each other to take back Castle Shimura, this time with a stronger army. Through Jin's personal arc, we find out that Lord Shimura wants to adopt him as his own son, and therefore have a much more official standing in Tsushima as the Jito. However, because of some creative differences that I'll talk about later, Shimura imprisons Jin because of his refusal to the more conventional fighting method strictly followed by samurai. During this part in the game, we see Jin at his lowest point, gripping onto two different versions of himself. The samurai he's been training his whole life to become, and his citizen-given nickname, the Ghost. In the end, once defeating the Khan, he chooses the path of the Ghost and fully evolves into a living legend. In this story, there are several different amazing characters with their own personal side stories and lore. However, to keep this video more to the point, I really only want to talk about 4 of them: Jin, Lord Shimura, Yuna, and Ryuzo. This is because each character has a unique and distinctly paired set of class and morals, all of which contrast with the other. Let me give you a visual so you know what I'm talking about. If I put these 4 characters on a grid, arguably you'd get something like this. So in order of appearance, let's take a deeper dive into Sakai Jin. As the main character, we see, feel, and experience everything through the lens of Jin, a well-off samurai with a strong sense of justice. To me, he falls into that heart of gold character trope, but in a unique way. Jin, through most of the game, is a very quiet and stoic character, and it only becomes apparent that he has a sense of humor pretty late into part 2. In retrospect though, I think Jin slowly opening up as a character really solidified his moral conflict. Do I fight the way I know how, or do I fight the way I know is right? To an audience unfamiliar with Bushido, Jin setting aside his livelihood as a samurai may not be taken as seriously as it actually is. Stripping away this rigid code, to him, is like stripping away his own skin, and we watch him begin to discard these same principles for the sake of the people he's protecting. And I think the answer to my question is obvious with this one. Jin was able to become the Ghost because of his experience as the underling of the Jito, because, well, that's partially what put him in war in the first place, but he continues to be the Ghost because of his contact with the real world, truly protecting the workers of Tsushima who fight, struggle, and die to this invasion becomes more important than civic power. So on the moral flip side we have Lord Shimura. He's sort of a supporting character slash antagonist slash morally gray old man slash whatever. He's Jin's uncle, the leader of the well-known Sakai clan, and the Jito of Tsushima. He's one of the 2 main conflicts in Jin's personal story, acting as a force to keep Jin stuck to his samurai code. This also directly conflicts with Yuna, who I'll talk about next. Because of his standing as the Jito, Shimura has this unwavering faith in his code. Like Jin, it is a part of him, but for Shimura specifically, it is a part of him that he never gets unstuck from. In the end, it acts as his downfall. I don't think it's very hard to tell whether or not Shimura would act differently in a different social or economic class. His status as the Jito is the reason why he's so stuck in his code in the first place. Regardless of the choice you make in the end, the game makes it very clear that Jin is the winner here. that above all else, actions speak louder than words, or codes. Second to Jean, we probably see Yuna the most. Her class and morality are the easiest to understand because she's basically introduced with it. A poor woman who nurses Jean back to health using the food and medicine she got from trading away his katana. To put it blatantly, she's a thief, and a practiced one at that. Jean is sort of hesitant to adopt her tactics at first, but eventually uses them as a way to hide from the Mongols. For Yuna specifically, I think her class and morals don't go hand in hand like Shimada's do. She's not stuck to any form of code, and her morality doesn't change much because she doesn't need it to. It doesn't feel in her nature as a character to be any different. Yuna is good. I believe in her. She's good as a low-standing peasant, and she would be good as the queen of the universe. Her newfound power alongside Jean only makes her stronger. This is the character that motivated me the most to make this video. And side note, I did some digging through his fandom wiki page and scrolled down to the comments and found he's unsurprisingly pretty controversial. So I should say, I really like Ryuzo. He's probably my favorite character in the game, and here's why. Ryuzo is Jean's childhood friend, and although they were close, Jean's status in the Sakai clan ultimately led towards his victory against Ryuzo in Lord Nagao's tournament, meaning Ryuzo lost his opportunity to become a samurai and escape poverty. Although Ryuzo is first introduced as Jean's childhood friend, it's obvious from the beginning that there is still a level of tension or jealousy behind their interactions. We learn that Ryuzo is the leader of this group of Ronin known as the Straw Hats, and since the Mongol invasion, have been struggling to find food. So when Jean tries to scout Ryuzo into a small army to help rescue his uncle, Ryuzo promises to do so if Jean helps him steal food from a Mongol supply ship. After doing so, some of Ryuzo's men get captured by the Mongols, and after your rescue mission, Ryuzo discovers that his men, while in captivity, were actually being fed well. This is important to note because this exact moment leads to Ryuzo eventually abandoning Jean in favor of the Mongols. He doesn't betray Jean because of their rocky past, or because he agrees with the Mongols, but because he's ultimately very, very desperate. Just before Jean fights Ryuzo for the first time, he has this idea in his head that Ryuzo is doing this because of some grudge, or that he's mad that Jean is a samurai and he isn't, and I think that's one of the reasons why his character is so divisive. Jean, and therefore possibly the player, looks past the most apparent reason why Ryuzo teams up with the Mongols. Poverty, duh. But I feel like that moral ambiguity of Mongols bad, Ryuzo bad, doesn't really make room for any class-conscious discussion that Ghost of Tsushima seemingly begs you to have. Yeah, like, okay, not everything has to be about capitalism, whatever, I get it, but oh my god, it's right there. So yes, in short, Ryuzo would for sure be a good guy if he and his band of poor farmers weren't desperate and starving. Look, it's undeniable that Jean fights for his people, but Ryuzo is part of the people, regardless of what side he stands on and regardless of his motivation. So I guess that leads me to my last question. Does Sucker Punch believe that each character is good or bad just because of the nature of the individual? This one is tough. Even after everything I said, I don't really have an answer. I would lean more towards no, especially because of the way that Lord Shimada and Ryuzo are presented as antagonists. So there's my half-confident answer. But I do think these characters are antagonists for a reason outside of their social and economic class. As a player, and nothing else, we really only see the plot through Jean's eyes and his history and nothing really past that. We don't really know why Lord Shimada imprisoned Jean besides he follows a strict code. We don't really know why Yuna saved Jean besides she's a good person. But strangely enough, we do know how Ryuzo ended up siding with the Mongols. And aside from Jean's feelings about it, his reasoning is presented in this strangely ambiguous way. It's clear that he doesn't want to, and it's clear that his men are starving, and it's clear that he's angry, but he loses and he's deemed as a traitor. I'll leave the video off with this.
The Ghost was an outlaw. He taught our people to defy their leaders.
To defend themselves.
With poison. A gift you gave to our enemy.
I had to stop you from throwing away our people's lives.
You have no honor.
And you are a slave to it.